Y'all didn't tell me y'all rose like this. I understand you said we ride together. But this shit, this shit has gotten fucking ridiculous. Intro start. Yo, what's up guys? Insane Game Freak here. Apparently I'm doing daily videos now. Welcome to the daily vlog channel. How you guys doing? No, I'm just joking. That I don't have the time or the consistent material to justify doing that. But would you believe that this was supposed to be the last game in the franchise? Would you believe that? That was only what? 3 years? Well, 4 years. 4 years ago, this was supposed to be the last game in the franchise. And then we got shit like this. Shit. And then we got shit like this. And then we got shit like a fucking remake, a goddamn Warriors game, another new game coming out in 2018, or at least planned to come out in 2018, and a fucking mobile game that comes out in like 2 weeks. What the fuck? What happened? What happened? What is it? There was something in this game. Nintendo don't give a fuck. Nintendo's like, look, we got it. We got it by the balls. We are not walking away from this shit at all. So, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, Nintendo held a Fire Emblem Direct today that was only 20 minutes and proceeded to blow the balls off of almost every Fire Emblem fan around, because I think every generational Fire Emblem fan was happy with this Direct because everybody got what they wanted. You either got more footage on your Fire Emblem Warriors game that was announced a few days ago, ironically, not even, like a little under a week ago. You got fucking an announcement of a new console Fire Emblem game. You also got a fucking remake of a Fire Emblem game that you liked. And we got information on a mobile game. Wow. So, let's kind of do this in order. First things first, we have Fire Emblem Echoes. I don't remember what the full subtitle is. Let's go check real quick. Shadows of Valentia. Now, this game is a remake of the second game in the franchise, which is really cool because it also means this is the first time we're getting anything close to the second game in the franchise in the States, because that game was never ported, and that game was never translated outside of Japan. So, we're technically getting an import and a remake at the same goddamn time. It's ridiculous. Which is insane. Which now means I don't have to go play the second game in the series. I can just play this. Also, we got a fucking release date for it. Also, the game comes out in like 5 months. What the fuck? What the fuck? And see, and some of you may not understand why this is as big of a deal as it is. This game is barely a year old in the States. This game literally came out like a year ago. I don't even think technically right now it's young. It's not even a year old yet, because I think this game came out in like February or March of last year. This game isn't a year old. And a fucking remake has been announced and is going to be released before this game is even a year old. It'll be over a year old by the time that game is released. But still, even though I think Japan's getting it like a month before, like Japan's getting it in April, and they're also getting a special edition, which is not surprising because that's the game. It's also one of the more radically different Fire Emblem games, so it's not that fucking surprising. But the point is, we're getting another fucking Fire Emblem game, and it's already being announced before that other game has even turned a goddamn year old yet. And that game comes out in 5 months. And then later on in the year, which will probably be another, at the very least, at the very most 6 months, which means it would be released in December, which it'll probably be released before that. Fire Emblem Warriors, that comes out on fucking, and I know a lot of people are very mixed because of people's reactions of why is this only on the 3DS. Which makes sense because Fire Emblem is still a niche franchise. They might be pushing it all high hell, but it hasn't transcended niche status yet. The games have to be a trustworthy, consistent million seller to be a fucking out of its niche title, and it's not. It's always a surprise when Fire Emblem breaks 1 million. So we're not out of the niche area. But, and this is also a great game because this is the game that everybody who's hardcore Fire Emblem fans have already played this game. They went back and they fucking emulated it, and fans have done translation patches for it, and they played this fucking game. And let's be real here, a lot of people like traditional Fire Emblem. A lot of people have a lot of issues with new Fire Emblem, but they will not deny the importance of new Fire Emblem and the advancements it did do to the game mechanics and the battle system and the series in general. So having an updated remake of the second game in the franchise with, you know, the most modern conventions of new Fire Emblem is going to be lit as fuck, because it seems like it's keeping everything from the original game. Now, obviously, I can't speak on that because I've never played the original game, but not have an excuse to. The reason why it's on the 3DS is obvious, is because the 3DS has a already well-known established fan base, whereas the Switch, as of right now, has 0 install base. So do you bet on the 50 or 60 million, or do you bet on the 0 to potential millions? And even then, it's probably only going to sell, the Switch is not going to sell like 50 million in the course of like 3 months. It might be up to maybe 4 or 5 at best, but it's not going to be selling 50. It just makes sense to put it on the lesser console, on the console that has a bigger install base, I mean. Then we go into, oh look, well, for those who are concerned, you're still getting a Switch Fire Emblem game, and it'll be a console level game, meaning we'll have better improved graphics, more of a kind of cinematic feel to it. It'll be great. And that comes out next year. So they're going to Fire Emblem us to death in the course of 2 years, pretty much. Because we got like 3 Fire Emblem things coming out this year. We got the fucking mobile game in 2 weeks. We got the remake in 5 months. And then in the potential next 6 months, we have a fucking Warriors game spinoff. Oh, and then sometime next year, we have another mainline game. Where are you finding the time to do all this shit, Intelligent Systems? Like, no bullshit me. It also seems like it's keeping it more, the animation style's changed again, so it's not really like Fates' anime-ish, more anime style. It's more like traditional Fire Emblem looks and shit, you know. Whatever, we don't even know if the next game is going to go in that direction again or not, because Fates is full anime, and like Awakening was like pseudo-anime and shit. But yeah, so we have a Switch title coming. After that, we got news on the Warriors game, which really just told us 2 things. One, it's coming out fall of this year, so that's another fall game. We'll put it right there around Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Odyssey. We got a little bit more gameplay, and some of you might be going, well, that's a little, how is this game going to come out this year? People got to remember, Hyrule Warriors we only saw twice before it was released. We saw it once in the December Direct of 2013, and then we didn't see it again until E3 of 2014, and then it came out like 4 or 5 months after that. So, needless to say, you don't have to see it that many times. And let's be real here, Fire Emblem Warriors' first screening footage of it so far looks like near, because you could tell there was a major difference between Zelda, Hyrule Warriors, and its 2013 footage versus its 2014 footage. Here, you can kind of tell Fire Emblem is a little bit further along than what Hyrule Warriors was when it was first shown. So, I would probably guess that game is pretty close to done. I'm still kind of shocked about Echoes being as far in development as it is, because literally Echoes looks like the only thing they need to do is just put localization in it. They just need to translate the damn game. That is a fucking trip! The game looks like it's done, because the game comes out in April. There's not much you can do left. Usually now you're just doing pre-production shit, getting the shipments out ready and putting them in the goddamn stores. At this point, there's not much time left, so I'm already tripped out on that. Obviously, and what they're doing is they're hitting you with a 1-2 punch. You throw out the fucking mobile game, you get people into the mobile game, ding, 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 bang, hit you with a fucking remake of an old classic. And if you don't, and if that wasn't enough, bang, here's a spin-off game for that people were asking for. Because in Japan, they did the poll, and Fire Emblem Warriors was like the next game that people really wanted to see. Well, I think that was a Nintendo IP. There were a few other series on there, but in terms of Nintendo IPs, that was the next one they wanted to see. So, you're fulfilling fan request. It's a win-win situation. And then finally, we talk about the mobile game, Fire Emblem Heroes, which comes out in 2 fucking weeks. I had to pause for a minute because I had to realize what the fuck I just said. It comes out in 2 weeks. The game comes out in 2 weeks, and it took up the majority of the presentation because they had to show it off and then explain everything. And the game's a free-to-play game, which means I'm automatically going to have it downloaded to my phone. And oh shit, Android's getting it at the same time, if not first, because there's a slight confusion on that. The point is, Android's at least getting it on the 2nd of February. iOS is up in the air because they've said 2 conflicting things about the iOS version. The point is, we're getting it. That game looks lit as fuck. If nothing else, people are going to data mine the shit out of that game just to get those images. Those high-res images of all the Fire Emblem characters, because that will be used in future Fire Emblem videos for various Fire Emblem YouTubers or just YouTubers who do Fire Emblem videos. It's not even an argument. That's just exactly what's going to fucking happen. So, yeah, that's crazy. Fucking... And see, all this shit is great because it's good to see Nintendo's pushing the IPs that don't get as much love. A lot of people like the shit talk Nintendo about how they only focused on Mario and Zelda and Pokemon. Those are the 3 IPs that people always say that's all they ever rely on. But when you see things like this, Fire Emblem has slowly, over the last 4 or 5 years, it's slowly crept up from that bullshit ass dark void. They're like things like Ice Climbers. Well, not like Ice Climbers. It probably was like somewhere around like... It was better than Chibi Robo. So I probably would say it's like Pikmin tier. It's kind of rose from like Pikmin tier, which is a franchise that's enjoyed, but it doesn't do as well as it really should. And it's kind of gotten into like a C or B tier now. Like Fire Emblem's in somewhere around C or B tier. Because Pikmin's in like C or B tier. It's rose in like from maybe like a C to like a B minus or some shit. And that's great because now you're seeing it more often. Although people have already started shit talking Fire Emblem now because it's like, oh, we're seeing too much Fire Emblem. Which, you know, my response to that is, so when they push other IPs, then you get mad that you get sick of them. Now, let's be fair here. I've also said things about this before. But that's more in concern of 2 things. One, you don't want to burn out your fan base on games. And let's be real here. FaZe was not no fucking was not the quickest game to burn through. It's 3 fucking games, and the campaigns for all these bitches are like 20 to 30 hours. So when you beat all of Fates, you've literally spent 160 hours in Fire Emblem Land, and then if you owned a Wii U, if you were part of the 13 million it did, you got more Fire Emblem shit with this game. Obviously to a way more exaggerated extent, but Fire Emblem shit was still in this game, guys. And then now, this year, you have a mobile game that comes out in February, which will eat up people's time consistently. And then you're going to give us a remake of an old game, which will eat up our time pretty consistently, probably for another month or 2. And then right after that, you'll give us a spin-off game, and then you're giving us another mainline game. Because even though Echoes is a remake, it's still Fire Emblem. It's not like the gameplay is insanely different, although there are different elements in it from what I've seen, like the exploration and that kind of shit. And with the dual main characters, although I don't think that's new for the series. I think, well, I guess technically since it's a remake of the second game, it was new for the series. I'm more concerned for sales. Like, it's like, I like Fire Emblem, but it's the same thing with Pokemon. You can't keep slamming me with game after game after game, because eventually I'm gonna get burnt out on the shit. Because no one wants to play the same game 16,000 times. Now, granted, this one looks relatively different. It doesn't seem to be following the same conventions, but that's also a risk. That's also a risk because because the people who are into Fire Emblem now weren't into the older games for various reasons, and it looks like this game is more by the numbers of Fire Emblem. It seems to be a faithful adaptation, which is great as far as adaptations go. It just may not be great for sales, which is like my major concern is the sales. I just don't want the series to overextend itself and then die in a fire. And you can tell they've regained confidence in Fire Emblem enough to make another console game, because they weren't going to originally. Remember that the series was going to die with Awakening, so they used the 3DS as a testing ground to kind of regain hope and faith into the Fire Emblem franchise, which effectively has done. I'm just concerned that if they keep pushing out games, because Fire Emblem does not need to be a yearly franchise. It almost feels like it's become that. Because, well, and actually, I don't know how long that'll last either, because the reason why it's become yearly is because they've been using the 3DS's engine 3 fucking times at this point. Actually, yeah, 3 times. They used it for Awakening, they improved it with Fates, and now they're going to use it again with probably some more mild improvements in Echoes. And it's like, dude, you cannot keep throwing out games like this because every franchise gets like fan burnout fatigue. And some people would say, well, Pokemon doesn't. Pokemon does, but Pokemon has such a huge install base, you can barely notice it. It's nowhere near as prevalent, and that still hasn't stopped Game Freak from trying new things and getting more creative with the games. Fire Emblem's been taking a lot of risks too. This is why I hate that. That's the other thing I hate when people talk about Nintendo and say, "Oh, they don't take risks with their games." That's bullshit. They've had their complacent eras, but you couldn't say that really with modern Nintendo. I'm excited for Echoes. I just don't know how excited I can be because I tried Awakening on a whim and ended up loving the game. But this is my first Fire Emblem game. But I also recognize that this game is not the full representation of what Fire Emblem is. The second game is probably closer to that, along with Fire Emblem Birthright and Conquest and shit. It also makes me wonder if they're going to even try to appeal to casuals with this one, or if they're just going to go for straight the Japanese only fans. Although the American fan base, they're going to have to do some things because, let's be real here, you're trying to still make money at the end of this also. I don't know. I'm excited for Heroes. Heroes looks cool. Here, because it's free to play, makes it very accessible to me. It's that, and I own a fucking Android phone. But I'm just concerned that they're gonna make the series go through a burnout where they're gonna burn fans off, because people were pretty burnt out off after Fates. Let's be real, and it's not even because of the game's story, which was a major problem with the game. It's just because it's 3 games in one, with generally the same combat and slightly different level design depending on what game you played. Most Fire Emblem fans played all 3. You're gonna burn people out, and you don't want to fucking do that. Also, knowing a lot of Fire Emblem fans, they'll probably import the Japanese version anyway. Well, actually, no, because it won't make a difference on the 3DS. 3DS is region locked. I don't know. Please let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Also, Sasuke. Now I understand that Yuri Lowenthal voices other characters in Fire Emblem, and that's why he was used. But as an anime fan first, you need to recognize that I recognize that's fucking Sasuke. And Simon from Gurren Lagann too, but fucking Sasuke. Hey, look, at least he's a better translator than we got. It's not really a translator, but he's a better voiceover than what we got at the Switch event. Alright, I'm done. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. I'm happy to see that Fire Emblem is still getting the love it deserves. I'm just concerned that they're going to create series fatigue for the amount of games they're releasing. Because you're going to be burnt out on Fire Emblem. If you weren't burnt out on Fire Emblem last year, you will truly be burnt out on Fire Emblem this year. Because you're getting hit from every side possible. If it's not the 3DS, it's the Switch. And if it's not the Switch, it's the fucking phone. They are not letting up on you at all. So, we're going to see how this goes, but I am concerned. But that's just from a business standpoint I'm concerned. As a fan, I'm pretty happy. But, you know, yeah. Life's a game. Play to win. And I'll catch you guys later. I'm done. I'm done with it, man. I'm done.